All right, YouTube, what's going on? It's Zaya here from Zaya&TheSteelers, and we are back with another video. And in today's video, we are once again going to be talking about the Steelers coaching situation and the team as a whole, because I've been seeing some takes about some veteran players on the team, and the fans aren't the happiest with the players such as TJ Watt, Aaron Rodgers, Cam Hayward, and some want us to hit the full rebuild reset button on this team. And I kind of want to talk about if that is the right choice to make or not. So if you guys are Steelers fans or you enjoy NFL content in general, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. In fact, we are 2 subscribers away from hitting 1,400. And so I would absolutely love to hit 1,400 subscribers. So once again, hit that subscribe button, man. But anyway, before we get fully into this video, I do want to take a moment to shout out the Houston Texans for absolutely just crushing our playoff dreams. Just for them to go up into New England and have CJ Stroud throw 5, 4, 6, 7, 10, 15, it doesn't matter, interceptions against the Patriots. As the Texans, they are now eliminated. They're in Cancun with us. And the NFL is so weird because we ended up taking down the Patriots, but we lost to the Texans. But then the Patriots, they beat the Texans. And so it's like, who's better than who? I'm not really sure. But the Patriots are about to get off 2 dynasties before we get 1 playoff win. That is very unfortunate. I can't stand New England. But I just figured that was worth a mention. But anyway, it is now back to talking about potential coach candidates. And in my last video, I talked about the Rams defensive coordinator, Chris Shula. I also talked about, like Clay Kubiak from the Seahawks. We talked about Nate Scheelhaase. And we're going to be talking about some more candidates. But I brought this tweet up for a reason. It's because Chris Shula has met with teams such as the Steelers, the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. He'd gotten 7 requests, and the 3 Rams assistants, Shula, Mike LaFleur, and Nate Scheelhaase, did a total of 11 interviews. It seems like the Rams coordinators, the Rams assistant coaches, are just absolutely dominating this head coach cycle. They're all getting interviews, and I actually saw this post about Sean McVay. In my last video, I mentioned I feel like McVay is where Tomlin once was in terms of the age and the success. However, McVay, he's had assistant coaches flying. They're interviewing for head coach roles. He's been relatively successful in the playoffs, as they're about to actually have another game tonight. He's been pretty successful recently, and so I'm going to say it. If things go all right for Sean McVay, he might be better than Tomlin. I'll just say, if he continues his career better than Mike Tomlin, how it went in the middle and the end, Sean McVay might actually be better than Mike Tomlin. And so with all that said, I would absolutely love to get one of these Rams coordinators, whether it's Shula or whether it's Nate Scheelhaase. I hope it's one of them. Between the two, I feel like I lean more offensively, just for, what we desperately need in terms of offense. We need someone who can, develop a quarterback. We need someone who can have actual plays look like they're from 2026 and not 1995. And I don't think, if we do end up picking Shula, I don't think, his offense is going to be bad, because once again, he comes from the McVay tree. But I'm just, I'm a little biased, right? I definitely want someone who has play calling experience. I want someone who is familiarized with the offensive side of the ball. And I guess if you are a great defensive coordinator, you know how to stop these good offenses, which could come in handy in the future. So you have to have somewhat of an idea about offense. But I don't know. I just feel like an offensive mind is more where we need to be at. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Here's a list of the people we have interviewed. You can see it's a bunch of defensive coordinators, and Chris Shula, Brian Flores, Jesse Minter, Anthony Weaver. There's Clay Kubiak down here, Nate Scheelhaase, as we've kind of talked about him as well. However, there is one more name that is potentially in the whole coaching sphere. And it is in relation to Mr. Aaron Rodgers, because apparently the Steelers remain open to an Aaron Rodgers reunion in 2026, even though it's unlikely due to Mike Tomlin's resignation, right? And so you see Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a 1-time Super Bowl champion. And when he was on the Green Bay Packers, he had a coach with the name of Mr. Mike McCarthy. So obviously we're all probably aware that Mike McCarthy is from the Pittsburgh area. He has coached Aaron Rodgers in the past, and I don't remember how their breakup kind of happened. I just remember the Packers, they could never really get over the hump anymore, and they both just kind of parted ways. Obviously Mike McCarthy went first. He ended up going to Dallas, and then Aaron Rodgers eventually also left the Packers, and so they had a weird split. But I don't know if there's beef. I don't know if there's resentment. And based on a lot of these rumors, and we actually have interviewed Mike McCarthy, I'm not sure what the relationship is. But what I am sure about is this is just something that we can go ahead and scrap this idea, in my opinion. We do not need to bring in Mike McCarthy, even without Aaron Rodgers, because once again, I don't know his age, but I mentioned this in my last video. The Steelers, we only have had 3 head coaches ever. And I've already talked about how weird it is, like bringing in somebody who was a head coach somewhere else and like now they're the head coach of the Steelers, because this person, whoever it is prone to being our coach for the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, maybe even our last coach ever. Maybe by the time that this coach is done coaching, the NFL will have like dissolved because of, Bet365 and whatnot. Maybe that is poised to happen for the Steelers because we keep our head coaches for so long. And having someone like Mike McCarthy, who has had 2 stints already on different teams kind of fizzle out, and he's already up there in age, I would prefer one of the younger minds to do it. But then that begs the question, how far away are the Pittsburgh Steelers from once again competing? Because I mentioned in my intro of like the players that we have in TJ Watt and Cam Hayward, should we just go ahead and hit the full scale rebuild button and get whatever we can for these guys? Because obviously Mike Tomlin had a huge influence on keeping a bunch of them. TJ Watt, apparently in Mike Tomlin's speech about him leaving, TJ was like full of tears and whatnot, like he wanted to cry. I'm sure Cam Hayward has developed a very personal and close relationship with Mike Tomlin as well. And now that he's not there, maybe Cam Hayward, maybe he just rides off into the sunset as well. And then obviously the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, he came here to play with, or play for Mike Tomlin. And now that he's gone, Aaron Rodgers is like 46 years old. Maybe Aaron Rodgers will go ahead and walk away. But for me, it is pretty redundant to bring back Aaron Rodgers. TJ Watt, I know he makes a lot of money. Maybe that money can be spent elsewhere. But he's already, done so much for this team. He's already had all the accolades. We might as well just let him kind of cook. Now, if he wants to go to a contender, if he wants to go to a team that's like literally competing for Super Bowls and like it just doesn't look like we're going to be able to do that after this season, then go ahead. Like if that's what it takes, if he wants to do that, then I don't have a problem trading TJ Watt or whatever. But I just think trying to hit this full-scale rebuild and just trading TJ immediately, like letting go of Cam immediately, I think in the long run, that could be the smarter move. Like, obviously, we're going to get a haul for TJ. Actually, this year he kind of had a down year, so maybe like his value has regressed or whatever. But getting all the assets possible for TJ, like he's probably going to be the most tradable right now. I can see how that kind of makes sense. But I also am the same person who like tricks myself into believing that the Steelers have a chance every year. And we've just been kind of on the other end of bad luck. And we've had like this Mike Tomlin juju kind of like infecting the team. I still think, with a new head coach, with a different play calling philosophy, the talent that we have, like maybe we can get the job done. Maybe we can just go out there and compete for a Super Bowl or at least a playoff win next season. And having TJ Watt, in my opinion, is like, very, very helpful in that. Like TJ Watt helps you win games. Now, I will also say the Nick Herbig kind of coming out party that happened this season, there should be no way Nick Herbig doesn't play at least 70% of our snaps next season. Like in the playoff game specifically, and TJ Watt is my guy. So for all the praise that I've said, I feel like I should be able to get this off. In that playoff game against the Texans, there were so many plays where TJ would be on the field and then like nothing was happening. He would go sit the bench, get a little break. Nick Herbig would come in and Nick Herbig would be an absolute force and he'd be making tackles for losses. He'd be getting tackles in the backfield. I'm pretty sure it was either him or Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer actually like forced a turnover into Y.A. Black's hands. And so like these young guys on the Pittsburgh Steelers, if we were to try to get everything we can for TJ, I think we would be left in like pretty decent hands in Nick Herbig and Jack Sawyer and maybe even Alex Highsmith when he's healthy. I think we would be left in pretty decent hands, but it's more now about just, the legacy of a player or whatever. Like, do we want TJ Watt to set the record in like tackles and sacks? He already has the sack record for the Steelers, but do we want him to just get a bunch of longevity stats for the team? Personally, once again, I wouldn't mind it. However, if he does want to go somewhere else, if like he wants to compete for a Super Bowl, if we can get a first for TJ Watt, I'll say, maybe we should head that direction, man. Like, honestly, because we're at a point now where I literally just lost Mike Tomlin. That was the last straw, truthfully. Like, I seen Big Ben go. I seen like AB go. I seen the Hines Ward, the Troy Polamalu's even before the Killer Bees. Like, I saw all those players go. I see Ryan Clark on TV every week. Low key, I don't like anybody on the Steelers. Actually, there is one more piece. There is one more domino, and he's actually sitting on the back of my chair. You guys can see Chris Boswell is like the last one left. After we get rid of Chris Boswell, whether he retires, whether he, ends up having like the kicker syndrome where like he just starts missing kicks and then eventually we cut him. Whenever that happens, that is going to be the day that it is just absolutely cooked for me in the Pittsburgh Steelers. But for right now, we still do have Boswell. But after losing Mike, after losing Ben, after losing Le'Veon, AB, Hines Ward, Troy Polamalu, Ryan Clark, James Harrison, you name them, we lost them. Dan McCullers even. After Juju, after losing all of these people, if you think I'm about to like lose sleep over the TJ Watt thing, I won't. And I love TJ Watt. I have his jersey. I had his jersey up like on the side. I remember it was in my background, but then I wore it after the Baltimore Ravens game and I just never put it back up. And low-key, that wall, who knows what's going to happen with TJ? That wall might be cursed because we also had George Pickens on there and then immediately he got traded. TJ Watt was on there. Maybe we were going to trade him. That wall might be cursed. But yeah, man, like if we want to like really, go into this and reset, then yeah, like, TJ Watt, if we want to trade him, this next upcoming quarterback class apparently is going to be absolutely bonkers. Like Dante Moore from Oregon, he ended up staying. Arch Manning, I'm pretty sure, is going to come out next year. There should be a lot of prospects in the next year's draft class for quarterback. Of course, the year that it's in Pittsburgh, we're probably not going to get our franchise quarterback unless like we take a swing at a Drew Aller later or something. But like I don't think Mendoza is going to fall to us. I don't think any of these quarterbacks past Mendoza are really like game changers. And now we're in the position of, and this is actually kind of funny, the year Kenny Pickett got drafted, there was another quarterback by the name of Malik Willis, who was somebody who was like rumored potentially to go to Pittsburgh, but then we ended up picking Kenny. And then like that draft class itself was cooked for a little bit because like all of them stunk outside of Brock Purdy. Now Malik Willis has like this game experience on the Packers where he looked pretty good. And I'm seeing people talking about bringing in Malik Willis for a year for the Steelers. I've also seen the whole Anthony Richardson thing. If Aaron Rodgers decides not to go, I've seen the Will Howard take, like we let Will Howard play out all next year. Personally, I would love for it to be Will Howard. I would love for it to be any kind of young guy that like we have a chance to build with. If we go into next season and Mason Rudolph is starting for us, then that's completely redundant, and I really hope we don't do that. But if it's Malik Willis, if it's Anthony Richardson, if it's whoever, I don't mind it. But as I'm saying this, I'm just kind of realizing we need to figure this quarterback thing out, though. Even though I'm okay with Malik Willis starting, even though I'm okay with Anthony Richardson, potentially coming in with, dare I say, Daniel Jones off the ACL injury, if maybe the Colts decide to let him go. I don't know. Like, I am okay with whatever direction we decide to take, but we need to figure this quarterback thing out because this is going to be, the fourth, fifth, the sixth season in a row where our week one starter is going to be different than the year it was before. I'm sitting here trying to tell my girlfriend about the Steelers, and like everybody I've told her about, they're gone. George Pickens gone. Russell Wilson gone. Justin Fields gone. Aaron Rodgers probably gone. Mike Tomlin gone. All these guys, they're gone. We need to have some consistency with this team. And so if we need to have a full-scale like tank and rebuild and then, keep all those players that we end up tanking for and rebuilding with, I'm fine with that. I am fully aware that this year is going to be completely different because Mike Tomlin is gone, and I've accepted that, and I'm willing to go with that because that's what everybody's been saying. This is how we get to the promised land. We try things a little bit differently. I am perfectly fine with that, but something we need to do is we need to figure out who is going to be our quarterback going forward, just like we need to figure out who our coach is going to be going forward. And I really hope it's not Mike McCarthy, man. And I liked Aaron Rodgers. He was cool, but like now that there's no Mike Tomlin, now that, I can't keep tricking myself, he doesn't have to be our quarterback next year. It was fun, Aaron. It was a great year. You maybe still got some left in the tank, but you cannot move at all. And our offensive line just isn't really at the point where we can't have a quarterback be mobile. Like we need someone with a little bit of legs. Justin Fields, if they cut him, do we bring Justin back too? Like there's just so many possibilities with this team. And so anyways, I think that is going to do it for me for this video. I just kind of wanted to talk about the potential, coaching situations. I think Chris Shula is the one who's like leading the charge. And I wouldn't be mad at that. I also wouldn't be mad at Shieldhouse or Kubiak. I think those are like my three favorites right now. And Mike McCarthy is at the bottom of the list. I would take Brian Flores, I think, before Mike McCarthy. And maybe I'm just being biased about that. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't respect the Pittsburghese. of Mike McCarthy. But that's just where I'm at with thinking about it. But let me know down in the comments who you guys think the coach should be. Once again, if you guys enjoyed, I highly encourage you. I'm begging. Hit that subscribe button, man, because I'm trying to get to 1,400 subscribers. Anyways, this has been Zaya from Zaya and the Steelers, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.